What is up, my tough trainers? I'm Lance, and today I'll be counting down my top 10 favorite dragon type Pokemon. In the last top 10 video, I counted down my top 10 favorite poison type Pokemon, and in that video I said you guys could vote for whether you'd like to see me count down my top 10 favorite dragon type Pokemon or my top 10 favorite normal type Pokemon, and Dragon just won the voting, so that is what I'll be doing today. And in the next top 10 video, I'll either be counting down my top 10 favorite normal type Pokemon or my top 10 favorite ghost type Pokemon, depending on what you guys vote for. So to vote, just let me know what you would rather see in the comment section below. And as usual, this list is going to be 100% opinion based, which means if you don't agree with any of the Pokemon on this list, just go ahead and let me know some of your favorite dragon type Pokemon in the comment section below. Let's go ahead and get into this list. At number 10 today, we've got a Pokemon that some people consider the devil Pokemon. I'll talk more about that in a sec, and it is Giratina. I've used Giratina in Pokemon Platinum. I reckon it looks pretty cool, and I really like its type combination of Ghost and Dragon. And the reason a lot of people consider it the devil Pokemon is because, first of all, in its Pokédex entry it says it was banished for its violence, which kind of resembles Satan in the Bible. And if you look closely at Giratina, it has 6 legs, 6 tentacle looking things, and also 6 spikes around its neck. You put those together, 666, sign of the devil. I'm not too sure if this is a coincidence or if this is what Game Freak intended, but I think it kind of makes Giratina a little bit more scary, kind of makes it cool in a way because it kind of resembles someone so strong like the devil. So that's kind of one of the reasons I like it. Giratina has a good HP stat, a good defense stat, and a good special defense stat, and I've heard it can work well in competitive battling with Dragon Tail, Will-O-Wisp, Rest, Sleep Talk, Calm Mind, and Dragon Pulse. So let's move on to number 9. At number 9 today, we've got a Pokemon that was also number 9 on my top 10 favorite dark type Pokemon, and it is Hydreigon. I've only used Hydreigon in competitive battling. I reckon it looks really cool. I really like how it's got 3 different heads, 2 heads off to the side that are a bit smaller than its head in the middle. Hydreigon has a great special attack stat with also pretty good attack, so usually it's special or mixed. It gets the ability Levitate, which is very good, and it works well with Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, Superpower, Dark Pulse, even Earthquake, and Roost. So if you've never used Hydreigon in competitive battling before, you should give it a go one day. And let's move on to number 8. At number 8, we've got another Pokemon that I've only used in competitive battling. It was introduced in Generation 6, and it is Goodra, or however you want to say it. In my opinion, Goodra doesn't look very good. I don't really like its design. I think it's a bit boring. But this Pokemon has a great special defense stat with good attack and special attack, which makes it very good in competitive battling. It can have the ability Sap Sipper or Hydration, which are both very good. I usually prefer to run it with physical attacks like Earthquake, Outrage, Rock Slide, and Aqua Tail, but it can also work well with special attacks such as Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Dragon Pulse, Sludge Wave, and Ice Beam. At number 7 today, we've got a Pokemon that I've only used in game, and it is Altaria. I've used Altaria in Pokemon Platinum. It was pretty fun to use. To be honest, I think Altaria is a little bit underrated. Out of all the dragon type Pokemon that exist, I think Altaria gets used the least in game, but I reckon Altaria is a pretty good Pokemon. I used to really like its design, but now I don't like it as much. I think it's a little bit boring. It's kind of weird how it's like a little head sticking up the top of a cloud. This Pokemon has good special defense, but all of its other stats are pretty average. It gets the ability Natural Cure, which is very good though, and I've heard it can work well in competitive battling with special attacks such as Draco Meteor, Dragon Pulse, and Roost. And I've heard it can also work well with physical attacks such as Dragon Dance and Dragon Claw. At number 6 today, we've got a really cool looking Pokemon in my opinion. It is Kingdra. I've used Kingdra in competitive battling. I really like its design, and all of its stats are pretty good, which is nice. It works very well with the ability Sniper, because with Sniper, I'm pretty sure its critical hits do more damage than they usually would, and Kingdra also gets the move Focus Energy, which boosts the chances of it hitting a critical hit, which means that it works very well with Focus Energy. It can be run with physical attacks such as Outrage, Waterfall, and Dragon Dance, and it can also be run with special attacks such as Hydro Pump, Surf, Dragon Pulse, and Draco Meteor. I prefer it with physical attacks, but it works well either way, and that is why Kingdra is at number 6 today. At number 5, we have got another Pokemon that I think looks really cool. It also has a really cool shiny form in my opinion, and it is Haxorus. I've used Haxorus in Pokemon Black and in competitive battling. It has a very good attack stat, and it gets the ability Mold Breaker, which works very well with Earthquake of course, and it also works very well in competitive battling with Swords Dance, Outrage, Dragon Claw, Superpower, and Aqua Tail. In my opinion, Haxorus is the best dragon type Pokemon in Pokemon Black and White, so if you haven't used it in game, give it a try, and also if you haven't used it in competitive battling, give it a try as well, because with its great attack stat, it can do some great things. At number 4, we've got a Pokemon that I want to use one day in competitive battling that was introduced in Generation 6 that I've only used in Pokemon X, and it is Tyrantrum. I really like Tyrantrum's design. Out of all the Pokemon introduced in Generation 6, Tyrantrum probably has one of my favorite designs. I just think it looks really big and scary and awesome. Its attack and defense is great, which makes it really good, and it gets the abilities Rock Head and Strong Jaw, which are both really good. With Strong Jaw, your attacks that include you having to bite, like your Bite, your Crunch, your Fire Fang, your stuff like that, gets a boost. And with its ability Rock Head, it won't take any damage from recoil, which means it works very well with the move Head Smash, which is a base power of 150 damage. It's rock type, and usually it gives you a lot of recoil damage, but Tyrantrum, he does not take any recoil damage from Head Smash, so it's a really good combination. Tyrantrum can also work well with Dragon Claw, Steel Rock, Earthquake, and Dragon Dance, so if you haven't used Tyrantrum in Pokemon X and Y, if you have a copy of X and Y, definitely use it one day, and if you haven't used it in competitive battling, give it a go, and let me know what you think. At number 3, we've got a Pokemon that a lot of people want to see get a Mega Revolution in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and it is Salamence. I've used Salamence in competitive battling. I also think it has a really cool looking design. I think its face looks pretty threatening and intimidating. Speaking of intimidating, it gets the ability Intimidate, and it can also have Moxie, which are both pretty good abilities. In my opinion, Moxie is slightly better. It has a great attack stat with pretty good special attack as well, and also speed. Nearly everyone I know runs it with physical attacks, and I often see it with Outrage, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and Dragon Dance, and I'm sure a special Salamence would work pretty well as well. At number 2 today, we've got a Pokemon I've used in Pokemon Heart Gold and in competitive battling, and it is Dragonite. I was trying to decide whether Salamence or Dragonite should be at number 2 today, because I think the two of them are kind of similar, having the same type combination, and both having a very good attack stat. In my opinion, Dragonite is slightly better than Salamence, and that is mostly because of its ability Multiscale, which means that it takes half as much damage from attacks as it usually would when it is on full health, which is a really awesome ability. Dragonite has a great design in my opinion. I really like its wings, although they're pretty small, and because of Dragonite's ability Multiscale, if there are no entry hazards or anything on the field, you can just go for a Dragon Dance on the first turn, and it is very likely you'll be able to take an attack. And after that, you can go for Outrage, Extreme Speed, Dragon Claw, Fire Punch, Earthquake, something like that, and do a lot of damage to whoever you take on. Dragonite has a great attack stat, like I've said, with pretty good defense, and special attack as well. And if you have not used Dragonite in competitive battling, you have to try it one day, because it is such a cool Pokemon. I like to run it with a berry, which means it will take less damage than usual from ice type attacks, because unfortunately, like Salamence and Altaria, it does have a 4 times weakness to ice, but other than that, Dragonite is a really good Pokemon. Let's move on to number 1. At number 1 today, we have got a Pokemon I've used in Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Pearl, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Heart Gold, and a lot in competitive battling. This guy is a monster, and it is Garchomp. Garchomp has a really high attack stat with good speed as well. I reckon Garchomp has a great design, and in my opinion, Mega Garchomp has a slightly better design. I think Mega Garchomp is slightly better to use in competitive battling. Regular Garchomp though does get the ability Rough Skin, which is slightly better than Mega Garchomp's ability. Mega Garchomp has a really high attack stat. I'm pretty sure it's base 170, but unfortunately it loses a little bit of speed, which I was really annoyed about. Mega Garchomp works very well with Swords Dance, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Fire Fang. And if you haven't used Garchomp in competitive battling, go ahead and do it, because it's another Pokemon that is really good to use in OU. So that is going to be all for this list today. As usual, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to vote for whether you'd like to see me count down my top 10 favorite normal type Pokemon or my top 10 favorite ghost type Pokemon in the comment section below. And as usual, stay tough.